In this lesson, we're going to have some fun exploring the lens effect. The lens effect allows you to select from a series of lenses to change the appearance of an object without actually altering the object itself. I like to think of those big stage productions where you've got lighting up in the ceiling, and then you put different lenses in front of that light to totally change the look and feel of the stage. The stage is still the same, but it just looks different thanks to those lenses. We can do the exact same thing here in CorelDRAW by applying a lens effect to an object. So you can see that I'm on page 2 of the file we've been working with in this chapter called moreeffects1.cdr. If you've been following along, click on the page 2 tab down here and you'll see what I see. If you've skipped to this lesson, no problem. Go to the lesson 12 folder of the exercise files if you've got them. Open up moreeffects1.cdr and click on the page 2 tab to get all caught up. Here we've got our bitmap image as well as our clip art image, two different kinds of objects, but we can use lens effects on either. So the first thing we need to do is access those effects by going to the lens docker. We can access that a couple of different ways. We can go up to the window menu, because we know down here we can access all of our dockers, including the lens docker. Alt F3 is the keyboard shortcut to open that one up. The other option is to go up to Effects and down to Lens directly and give it a click from there. Either way, you're going to see the lens docker open up over here. You'll see the last lens effect you used, and in this case, if it's the first time ever using this, no lens effect will be the default. And now all we have to do is create the lens shape and choose an effect. So I'll show you what I mean. First thing I'm going to do is just click out here in my page anywhere. Don't need to select anything, but I do want to see all of the page. So I'm going to press Shift F4. See how it shifts over for me so I can see all of my objects. And now it's time to create our lens. You can see up here where it says the lens effect. The word lens appears to be magnified under this magnifying glass. All this is a circle being used as our lens, but we can use any shape. So let's go over here to our rectangle tool. We'll just come out here and we'll draw a rectangle about yay big. That appears over here now as the actual lens to be used as we choose our different effects. So when we put this over an object, I'm going to go to my pick tool just to make it easier. I'm going to drag this over this section of the spreader. And I'm going to go to my lens effect drop down and check them all out. Lots to choose from. Brighten, color add, limit, and color map. A fisheye, heat map, invert, magnify, tinted grayscale, transparency, and wireframe. Lots to choose from. Let's check them all out. We'll go to brighten first. When I click on that, I see a preview up here in my Docker, but I also see it happening down here. Notice the area inside the lens appears to have brightened the image in behind. But of course, if I move this, it's only going to brighten the area inside this lens. It's not affecting the image itself. If I move this away, the image hasn't changed at all. It's just the lens on top that makes it look different. We can adjust the rate of brightness. We can make it brighter by clicking the up arrow. And we can make it a little darker by removing brightness, hitting the down arrow. And of course, you can type in any value you like here by highlighting what's there. Type in your numbers, press enter, and you lock it in. All right, let's try some other ones. Let's go down to color add. Now from here you get to choose the color you want to add to the lens, and this is just like those stage effects where you add a tint. So if I move this out of the way, you can see it's really a lot greener thanks to the color that's being defaulted over here as green at a rate of 50%. But I can choose different colors as well. Maybe I want to cool it down with cyan. Click on cyan, you can see that's actually a totally different looking image. It's cooled right down. Maybe it's too much, so I can knock this down a little bit. Some of the green comes through. Nice little effect. Let's go up here now to color add and try color limit. This is a little bit different. Now it's the same color, but you can see that's the full lens here has been created in that color. Let's go down to custom color map. This allows us to use two colors to go from one color to another. So for example, if I come up here and go from white to blue, you can see the effect it's having in the background. If I want to change that to a different color like yellow, it's totally changed it. Now I can hardly see the image in the background. I'm going to try reversing these. Let's go from yellow to white. I'm going to scroll up to find white. There it is. And you can see now I've got white in the background and I've just got this yellow tinted image in behind my filter. It's very cool stuff. All right, let's go to our custom color map dropdown and try this one. This is popular, fisheye. You can see how it kind of magnifies but bows out the image in the center here. And the rate is set to 100% by default, so we can knock down that effect a little bit. With each click of the down arrow, it's going down by 5%. And if you wanted to, you could type in a value here as well and hit enter to change it to that effect. And you can see it's not quite as exaggerated, but it is blown up in the middle. That's the fisheye. Let's try heat map. Heat map's kind of cool. It's kind of like those weather maps to show you the hot spots. Well, here you'll find some of the hotter spots, the hotter colors in this image, and you really get to see this when we move our lens over a bitmap image like our soup bowl here. When I let go, you can see the effect that appears behind that lens. Now I might want to just drag this up so it's the full height and the full width of my image if I want to be able to affect the entire image. Just like that. Here's a cool effect. I like that. Now the heat map also allows us to choose a palette rotation. It's going to alter the colors that you see there with each click. See how I bump it up by 5% with each click and I get a totally different look. Psychedelic almost. Neat stuff. Okay, I'm going to move this back over my spreader now. And you can see how that affects my spreader, having adjusted it to 25%. Let's go to heat map and try invert. Invert is kind of like a photo when you get a negative. And in this case, it works all right with our clip art. But if we go over to our photograph, we can see the negative just by releasing right there. Cool stuff. We'll go up to invert. I'm going to skip over magnify. It's my favorite, so I'm going to save it for last. We're going to go down to tinted grayscale. Now, depending on the color that's being used in the tint, it may or may not be grayscale at all. If I really want it to be black and white, I'm going to change the color by clicking the drop down and selecting black. Now you can see I've just made my image appear to be a black and white image. Remember though, it's just a filter. If I move this over my image on the right, it becomes black and white. My photo is still color. I'm going to go to tinted grayscale and down to transparency. This creates a see-through area using different colors. I'm going to go to white and see the effect. There it is. It's almost like I can see through it. And this is like taking an acetate slide and placing it on top of an object. If you wanted to, for example, add text on top of this, it would be like writing on the acetate without actually damaging the image behind. So that's a cool effect. Let's go to transparency and check out the last one here. Wireframe, using these default colors, shows nothing in the background. So we've got an outline and a fill. If I want to adjust the fill color, I might end up with a silhouette. I'm going to go to cyan. You can see it's a cyan silhouette of my spreader. I'm going to move it over, show you that the image in behind is not affected, but anything behind the filter looks like a silhouette. All right, let's try some different colors. For the outline, I'm going to go up to black and see if that affects anything. No, it's not working with those particular pieces of my clip art image, but I can play around with the silhouette by choosing different colors. Neat stuff. Let's move this over our image on the left to see the results with a bitmap. You can see how well that works. Not at all, actually. So we'll just keep using our wireframe with objects that have been drawn, such as clip art. All right, time for the best one of them all, magnify. When I click on magnify, you can see I'm actually magnified or zoomed in to an area of my clip art image in this case. If I move over to my bitmap image and let go, I'm zoomed in there as well. So all I'm going to do is just move this out of the way. I'm going to hit my delete key on the keyboard to remove that and try this with a different shape. I'm going to go over to my ellipse tool and I'm going to hold down Control as I click and drag to draw an ellipse. Let's go about that big right there. Now this is going to be my filter. It already is. You can see it selected up here under Magnify. I'm going to go to my Pick tool so it's easier to move this around, and I'm going to move it down here over this flywheel area. All right, now Magnify, you can see what it's doing up here is set to 2.0 or 2 times. As I bump this up, the further I zoom into that area, I see it both here and up here in my Docker. So I'm going to leave it at 2.2. And now if I move this away, well, I lose that zoomed in magnification. So I'm going to go back here, move it up just ever so slightly. And if I want to be able to take that zoomed in snapshot right there and put it up here underneath Flywheel Dispersal Unit, That's where these checkboxes come in handy. I'm going to click on Frozen to freeze it. It's like I just took a snapshot, which means I can actually move my lens now up here. And now you can see the zoomed in area. And if I wanted to take this a step further, I'm just going to deselect that. I'm going to draw some lines. I'm going to go over to my freehand tool here. And I'm going to go to the bottom edge, click once. I'm going to hold down Control just to keep this straight. I'm going to click again, still holding Control, click one more time and come in to the left here and click one last time. There we go. I'll click my pick tool, deselect to see the end result. Kind of cool stuff. So I would encourage you to experiment with the various lens effects. Keeping in mind you can really alter the appearance of any object here on your drawing page without altering the object itself. All right, there's one more special effect for us to look at in the next lesson, and that is bevels.